Good morning. The question I have for you this morning is, what would change in your life if you knew you couldn't fail? If you knew that whatever God called you to do and you would do that, it would be impossible for you to fail in that area. The last year or so, since I have a 20-minute drive to work every morning, we started listening to the audio Bible, John and I. And it's amazing. Okay, let me ask you this. If you think of people in the Bible, how many people do you think of? If you think of all the people in the Bible, how many people? 50? 80? There's literally hundreds of people named in the Bible, but the only purpose that their name serves is to link this great person to this great person. So what is the difference between the person that takes chapters after chapter after chapter, like Joseph, or his brothers that you barely see their name mentioned, maybe a few times? So I just had to think of the last, there's hundreds of names listed that you don't hear. Their name might be listed once, but there's a connection between this, and then there might be 20 names, and then this. So I just thought it was very interesting, hearing some of these names that I'd never heard before. So I'm gonna read a list of names here, see if you recognize any of them. Shammua, Shaphath, Igal, Palti, Gadiel, Gadai, Amiel, Sether, Nobi, Giel. Does anybody know who those 10 people were? They were with Joshua and Caleb. If I would have named Joshua and Caleb, everybody would have put a reference to Joshua and Caleb. But these 10 other men had the same opportunity that Joshua and Caleb did. They weren't just run-of-the-mill people. They were the leaders of their tribes. And they were actually called to lead. God gave them a command to take over the land or to spy out the land. And it said they came back with an evil report. So they had the same opportunity to see what Joshua and Caleb did. They saw the same things. They saw the huge chunks of grapes that took 2 men to carry. But the Bible said they came back with an evil report. So just something to think about as we go through life is, are we the Joshua and Calebs? Do we see it from that angle? Or do we see it from the angle of the list of names that I just read that most of us have never heard before or never paid any attention to? In Numbers 13:23, and they came unto the brook of Eshcol, and cut down from thence a branch with one cluster of grapes, and they bare it between 2 upon his staff, and they brought the pomegranates and the figs. And the place was called the brook of Eshcol, because of the great cluster of grapes which the children of Israel cut down from thence. And they returned from searching out of the land after 40 days. And Caleb stilled the people before Moses and said, Let us go up at once and possess it, for we are well able to overcome it. But the men that went up with him said, We are not able to go up against the people, for they are stronger than we. And they brought up an evil report of the land which they had searched unto the children of Israel, saying, The land through which we have gone to search it is a land that eateth up the inhabitants thereof, and all the people that we saw in it are men of great stature. And there we saw the giants, the sons of Anak, which come of the giants, and we were in our own sight as grasshoppers, and so we were in their sight. So they perceived in their own sight they were as grasshoppers, and they decided that because they saw themselves as grasshoppers, the others did too. There's actually, I did some research. There's depends which Bible you look at. It's between 950 and 1300 some different names that are specifically mentioned in the Bible by name. And if I think of names in the Bible, I might think of 75, maybe 100 different names of people that actually made an impact in the history of the Bible. And then I was just this last week we were hearing Daniel 2. In the second year of the reign of Nebuchadnezzar dreamed dreams wherewith his spirit was troubled, and his sleep brake from him. The king commanded to call the magicians and the astrologers and the sorcerers and the Chaldeans, and to show the king his dreams. So they came and stood before the king. And the king said unto them, I have dreamed a dream, and my spirit was troubled to know the dream. Then spoke the Chaldeans to the king of Syriac, O king, live forever. Tell thy servants the dream, and we will show the interpretation. The king answered and said to the Chaldeans, the thing is gone from me. If you will not make known unto me the dream with the interpretation thereof, you shall be cut to pieces. So how would you like to have that kind of a demand put on you? I dreamed a dream. I don't know what it is. I forgot it. But you're going to have to get the dream and the interpretation and tell it to me, or I'm going to cut you to pieces. And your houses shall be made a dunghill. But if you show the dream and the interpretation thereof, you shall receive of me gifts and rewards and great honor. Therefore show me the dream and the interpretation thereof. They answered again and said, let the king tell his servants the dream, and we will show the interpretation of it. The king answered and said, I know of certainty that ye would gain the time, because you see the thing is gone from me. But if you will not make known unto me the dream, there is but one decree for you. For ye have prepared lying and corrupt words to speak before me. Till the time be changed, therefore tell me the dream, and I shall know that ye can show me the interpretation thereof. The Chaldeans answered before the king and said, there is not a man upon the earth that can show the king's matter. Therefore there is no king, lord, nor ruler that asks such thing of any magician or astrologer or Chaldean. And it is a rare thing that the king requireth, and there is none other that can show it before the king, except the gods whose dwelling is not with flesh. So here they acknowledge that there's no way in the natural that anybody could come up with them. It has to be through a God that is not of flesh. For this cause the king was angry and very furious, and commanded to destroy all the wise men of Babylon. And the decree went forth that the wise men should be slain, and they sought Daniel and his fellows to be slain. Then Daniel answered with counsel and wisdom to Arioch, the captain of the king's guard, which was gone forth to slay the wise men of Babylon. He answered and said to Arioch, the king's captain, why is the decree so hasty from the king? Then Arioch made the thing known to Daniel. Then Daniel went in and desired of the king that he would give him time, and that he would show the king the interpretation. Then Daniel went to his house and made the thing known to Hananiah, Mishael, and Azariah, his companions, that they would desire mercies of the God of heaven concerning this secret, that Daniel and his fellows should not perish with the rest of the wise men of Babylon. Then was the secret revealed unto Daniel in a night vision. Then Daniel blessed the God of heaven. Daniel answered and said, blessed be the name of God forever and ever, for wisdom and might are his. And he changeth the times and the seasons. He removeth kings, and he setteth up kings. He giveth wisdom unto the wise, and knowledge to them that know understanding. So the only way that Daniel was able to come up with that interpretation was through his connection with God. And if we go through life with a connection to God, and we're able to to discern what God is showing us, I believe we can do great things for His kingdom. But if we go through life, second guessing, fearing, doubting, just questioning everything that God shows us, it's a whole different mindset. So that's